Picking a background and traits in Starfield is the hardest decision you'll make. Which background fits your character? Do you want an annoying blonde following you around all game, or do you want to be in crippling debt? Today I'm going to help you decide the best background and traits for you. Let's go! Let me know what background and traits you're picking and the backstory for your character. I would love to read them. So first, let's talk about backgrounds, as you only pick one of these and it's the first decisions you make, and you have to pick a background, whereas traits are optional. So backgrounds basically give you a head start in a specific build direction. They don't really force you into anything specific. They basically just give you 3 starting skills and a little bit of backstory around where your character may have come from. Now that backstory will occasionally come into play in dialogue options. It won't necessarily change anything drastically. It may just unlock different doors for you in terms of conversation dialogue, or just occasionally come up for some flavors text here and there. But the main reason you'll pick a background is for those 3 starting skills. Now, if you're not exactly sure what sort of a build you're going to go, it can be hard to decide what background fits for you. But there is some really great general options that sort of fit any really like build, or say just generally, just like playing the game. I really am a fan of File Not Found. It's the one at the very bottom of the list. This is a great all-around background. Now, because this doesn't really necessarily give you any sort of specific background in terms of like dialogue, if say you're not exactly sure what your character is going to be, but in terms of its skills, it gives you wellness for extra HP, ballistics weapon damage to increase your percentage of damage with ballistic weapons, which you'll use for a lot of the game, until you find some, say, laser weapons or EM if you wanted to go that route. And then piloting for thrusters on ships is also really good, because the thrusters really helps with maneuverability in space and helping with space combat. So just generally like a really good all-round set of starting skills. And if you're not exactly sure what sort of a backstory you're going to go, Bounty Hunter is a great option if you want to spend a lot of time in space, say whether that be in ship combat or transporting cargo, because it comes with a targeting control system to allow you to enter like that sort of VATS mode, so you can target specific parts of a ship, either to knock out their engines so you can board them, or knock out their weapons so they won't attack you back. And you also get piloting, which we just discussed before, as well as boost pack training, so you can actually use the boost packs, which as a critical skill, which everyone will eventually grab, but this essentially just means that you don't have to spend those points to grab that skill. Cyber Runner is great for a stealthy sort of archetype, because you already come with stealth and pickpocketing if that's the route you wanted to go with. I also really like Industrialist or Diplomat for, say, persuasion if you want to focus on, say, dialogue and speech challenges. But Industrialist is a little bit better in my opinion, because you get security and research methods. So security mainly here because it enables you to increase your overall pickpocketing capability, which is also good. But otherwise, there are some great options, say if you want to specialize in certain types of weapons, like say Soldier, for example, if you wanted to maybe focus more on the ballistic weapons, or go something like the Ronin for dueling. But generally speaking, you can't go wrong with a background. It's just a head start into a specific direction. Traits, however, are a different story. So traits, as mentioned, they are optional, and you can pick up to 3 of them. Not only do they add extra flavor, and they do also appear in dialogue occasionally as well, they can push either your build a little bit further into a direction if you focus on, say, like combat focused traits, or even also the role-playing aspects of your kit. Say if you wanted to pick up a religious trait to focus, say, on your character being extremely religious, and picking those options in dialogue. But we'll cover the best traits sort of generally across the board, and then we'll get into the more like specific stuff like the faction allegiance and the religion traits. But starting out with the best traits, Alien DNA, the first one in the list, is really good. So extra HP and O2 being stamina is good. Like you can't really go wrong with that, especially for a melee focused build. If say you want that extra little bit of survivability, the negative effect here being your healing items and food are less effective. You can counteract this a bit with the medicine skill, so it's not too much of a big deal, because you can bump up those healing effects in that way. But having extra HP and O2, you can't really go wrong in that route. Extrovert I also really like, or say introvert if you don't want to have a companion. Say if you know you're going to have companions, then extrovert's great, and then vice versa for introvert if you know you're not going to have companions. Keep in mind though that there are some main missions and side missions that will force you to have a specific companion with you while you complete that mission. So if you are an introvert, you'll then be getting those negative effects during that mission, or until you complete that mission. Say if they join you because they want you to go and do a specific mission, but if you go off and do something else and you can't actually force them to leave you until you've done that mission, then you're going to be stuck with those negative effects until you get to that point. Hero Worshipped will have you get the adoring fan, everyone's favorite crew member. Now obviously they're annoying, but they're also fun. Like that's their whole point. I really actually enjoy their dialogue. There's a lot of funny little lines that they will have with you and sort of back and forth, but it's also good to just have like a free crew member, because crew members are pretty expensive to hire. And also just say if you don't like the companions, you want like a different option in that route as well. You've got someone that can come with you. The Doring fan's a little bit better to come with you based on his skills. They're more focused on actually yourself and ground play rather than like improving your overall spaceship and capacity in that route, but it just gives you an extra option to add to your crew or sort of have come with you if you don't like the other companions, plus the gifts he gives you, well worth having. Kid stuff is probably my favorite trait. Now, kid stuff, the cost of actually having your parents is pretty low. Like very rarely will they ever take money from you, and it's like 500 credits every week. It's super low effort. Like it doesn't take much and they don't take much, but they are damn cool. So they will send you letters occasionally. If you are doing certain activities, sometimes they'll give you unique armor or weapons, and they will appear around the galaxy randomly, and just you'll be able to talk to them, and there's heaps of flavor text here and there. There's a great back and forth with them. I really recommend picking up kid stuff. They're actually hilarious. Taskmaster is great for ship repairs if you're going to be spending a lot of time in space. Say for example, if you went like the bounty hunter background as well. Now this is great because like the hiring cost is obviously more expensive, right, to hire people, but you can use the persuade option to lower that cost a little bit still, so it's not as bad, but it is only a one-time cost, right? So you're not going to be hiring a lot of crew members all of the time. It's really just like specific moments that say you want to, but you'll always have that effect if you have a crew member that specializes in those parts of the ship, so then you can have those ship parts automatically repair, which is well worth having. Terra Firma is also great, a bit like Alien DNA in that you get the extra HP and O2 while on the surface, but you have less while in space. Now, 90% of the game, you will be on a planet, like on the surface, so you'll get those extra HP and O2 benefits. Very rarely will you be fighting in space, and if you do, like, you know, you just need to be mindful that you'll have those negative bonuses, but it's not that often. Like, unless you're going to be stealing a lot of ships, like, you know, knocking out their engines and boarding them to take ships a lot, then maybe it comes into play. And there are definitely some missions that are set in space that you will do things in space, but it's just worth calling out that for the most part, you'll spend a lot of that time on the ground, so it's just a free HP and O2 buff for that period of time. Let's cover some of the more specific trait choices, like faction allegiance traits. You can only pick one of these, being the Freestar Collective Settler, the Neon Street Rat, or the United Colonies Native. Now, this is good if you want to, say, focus on a bit more role-playing aspect, like a specific faction, but there's pretty low sort of drawbacks here in terms of negative effects, unless you're planning to be a criminal, because you'll get that extra bounty in those other territories. But for the most part here, you can pick one just as a safe option to give you some extra dialogue when you're in those sort of territories, like on, say, Aquila City or in New Atlantis. The religion traits aren't really worth it. So the main two here being the Raised Enlightened and Raised Universal. You get access to a special chest in like their churches, but really there's not really any good rewards in here, so there's nothing really gaining from it. But then I guess for the most part here also, you're not gaining any negative effects either, so it's not that much of a trade-off. I would only really pick one of these if you are, say, planning to focus on like a role-playing aspect, like you're looking for dialogue options, as I actually found that picking Raised Enlightened like I did, there's heaps of interesting dialogue options that come up both in the main story as well as some of the side quests as well, just because of my religious choices there. And Serpent's Embrace is sort of the same, except it has different benefits and doesn't have that chest, but they will come up to play because you can only pick one of these religious traits if you want to go that route. Let's cover off some worst traits to sort of avoid. Firstly, Dream Home sucks. Don't grab it. 125k credits is a huge debt to have, and you really just like won't ever want to pay that off. Like, why would I give them 125k unless you obviously for role-playing purposes? But Galbank are going to steal all your money, so don't do it. Now, if you do pick up this trait and you do go to the Dream Home, it's not a bad house, right? Like, it's pretty cool, but you could just build an outpost for free that doesn't cost you anything. And if you want to use this house without actually paying the 125k, you can just pay 500 credits every week if you want to go there and access it. So you can get it, but it's just worth calling out that you're going to have that quest in your quest log for 125k debt until you actually go and pay that off. Wanted also isn't bad if you want that extra damage while your health is low, but it's only while your HP is low, so it doesn't necessarily work out that well. Empath is also sort of random because, I mean, if you do actions in the game when you've got companions, like, who knows if that action is going to either make them like or dislike that action, and if they like the action, you get buffs. If they dislike, you get negative effects. So because of that randomness, that can be sort of fun if you're looking for a little bit more chaos or chaotic sort of play there, but I wouldn't worry too much about Empath unless you wanted to go that route. But that is basically everything you need to know about backgrounds and traits. Let me know what you're picking in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.